How many people are here for the first time? Wow, great. It's really nice to see you all. We do this every month just about, and we have a really strong membership, and that membership is how we generate presentations, right? We don't go outside and look for them because we don't need to. We have a lot of smart people that do a lot of great things in their professional spaces, and we leverage them. And tonight we're gonna have our first, part one, part two experience. We had part one a month ago, and now Stacey's gonna come back with part two, and we're gonna learn a lot about CrewAI and how to build agents. So my name's Tom Stabline. I, along with Dana, my partner back there, we co-host this event. And what that means is, for me, well, she does all the work and then, well, pay for the food. And I'm at USF. I'm a director of a global online Master of Science in AI and Business Analytics. How many students do we have or alumni here? Oh, so we've got more. We got like 10. So if anybody, is curious about the program, please speak to me or speak to one of them. Hear how their experience is going. I'm extremely passionate about analytics, which is why I took over this Meetup. Started 2 data analytics teams at companies, and everyone I know that acquires these competencies opens up a lot of doors in their careers. But it's a lot of hard work, right? It's not like just showing up. You have to become a different asset when you go through a program like ours. So, and our program is designed for people like yourselves that are working professionals. So you can do it in a year, you can do it in 2 years, and you go on the weekends, and it's online, but it's live instruction. So if you want to learn all the competencies that you need for data analytics, data science, AI, just again, talk to one of us after the show today. So I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Again, Stacey's been here multiple times. We've just been very blessed to have him present for us, and always does a fantastic job. And I'm sure he's got a lot more than probably an hour, but we'll do his best to squeeze it in. Are there any questions before we get going? We'll do the presentation, and then at 7:30, we'll have a little raffle. We'll have some giveaways. And a good friend, Ann Ruth, who is here, where is he? From Databricks, who presented last night at the Tampa Dev organization, that Nelson. If you don't know Nelson, you should meet Nelson before you leave. Put your hand up. They had a great event last night, and get plugged into that organization. But he brought some swag, and we're going to give that away later too, right? So, Stacey, are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
And if you're interested in presenting, next month we have a great one, Eric Vogtpol. And who knows Eric? All right, several of us, right? Eric is awesome. He's like a field CTO for Presidio, $6.5 billion company, where he goes around and evangelizes the C-level about AI and why they should be comfortable with it and sending their data out to LLMs. So it's always really interesting when he presents. All right, Stacey.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Stacey Smith, and last month I talked about Ollama and Anything LLM. So it's a big crowd this month compared to last month, and to be honest, this one is going to be even more exciting than the last presentation. So my background, I'm a data scientist at USCENTCOM at McGill Air Force Base. I have a bachelor's and master's in computer science, master's in data science. Also, I relocated here in Tampa in 2022. I think the same month when I came here, I found this Meetup and went here. And so it's kind of like my first time really in Florida. And one thing I remember is seeing the palm trees outside. And I said, man, it's beautiful out here. I love it. And so I've been coming here ever since. My hobbies, so I talked about my hobbies like last time, like motorcycle riding, hit, problem golf, but I don't want to repeat myself. So we all have like many different hobbies. And so one is love to deep sea fish. So deep sea fishing. love it so much that I bought a house that got flooded in St. Petersburg, which I got to renovate on the water. So, and so, as I said, this is the second of a two-part series. The first one where we talked about anything LLM and Ollama. This one's going to be about CrewAI. If you missed the first one, then you can catch it on YouTube. So, AI agents, is it the new gold rush? So Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, said there's going to be a lot of billionaires made with AI agents, solving specific tasks in ways that we've never seen before. And we had Jensen Huang, the founder of CEO of NVIDIA. He talks about how the agents are going to change the world, and we have generative AI. And so even with Salesforce they even kind of changed their name to Agent Force. So they have these agents where they're going to create agents that's going to automate the process to take the place, to work with humans, but also is going to take the place of humans also. So from rule-based bots to intelligent bots. The early chat bots, it started with simple rule-based systems. So your basic customer support chat bots. So I'm sure all of us have experienced these chat bots, these dumb bots. And so then we transitioned to machine learning and deep learning to have more powerful systems that can learn from the data in a depth. And then you have the rise of the large language models. So you have systems like GPT-4, which demonstrate unprecedented natural language understanding, paving the way for specialized agents that can carry tasks autonomously. And then we have the agent-oriented AI, the concept of agents to plan, reason, execute tasks with minimal oversight. So the ecosystem that we have today, you have popular agent frameworks. I know someone's going to ask about LangChain, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it out now, because when you have CrewAI, it works with LangChain. So LangChain kind of started all these agents. And so they're primarily known for training LLM calls, prompt engineering. And then you have Agent GPT. You have a lot of different frameworks, agent frameworks out there. And so then you can build your own custom solutions. So there are many companies that are creating their own proprietary agent frameworks tailored for their own business logic. And so common use cases are going to be automated research, data analysis, customer service, complex scheduling, logistics. And so your key factors in choosing your frameworks are going to be what kind of community support, what kind of documentation do you have, the extensibility and ease of integration to your existing infrastructure, and how reliable is it in your high-stake applications. So do you want to go the enterprise-wide route versus open source? The difference, enterprise, you got to pay for, open source is free. And so then you have your different, you got 7 levels of AI agents. So the first one was your reactive agent. They have no memory, they don't learn. It's like fixed rules. It's good for basic tasks, or an example are going to be your simple chat bots. And here I got the original Rumble out in 2002 that came out. It's an example. Then level 2. So CrewAI is going to be level 2 and 3. So it's specialized tasks in your domain. And then it's context aware. It can handle ambiguity with dynamic inputs, and it can use machine learning to adapt in real time. And then the next is going to be level 3, which I believe that they're actually working on level 3 right now. And so that's when it can, not level 3, level 4, which they're working on right now, which is interpret human emotions and intentions. So if any of you ever saw the movie Her, and there's a character that's called Samantha, she was manipulative. And so you can start getting to the danger zone. And then you have 5. So each level, it starts getting more and more dangerous, and you have to be careful. So then a great example is the movie Ex Machina, which it talks about the introspective to refine the algorithms autonomously. And then you have level 6, which we kind of heard of generalized intelligence. And that's when you have adaptable across multiple domains akin to human level intelligence. And so a great example is going to be the movie I, Robot. And it was, I think Sonny was the robot, and he was autonomous. And then once we get to the end of humanity, we have super intelligent agents. And that's when talk about Skynet and the Terminator, my favorite movie of all time. So we want to meet CrewAI and the agents for real world solutions. So what is CrewAI? It's a specialized agent framework designed for real world production environments. It can integrate with popular large language models, so you're not tied down to just one large language model like OpenAI. There's many that you can choose from. And its strengths is it's task oriented, plug and play, security, compliance, scalability. So we're going to go into all of that. And so then it's which one do I choose? Do I choose enterprise? Do I choose open source? Well, really, it depends on your organization. So with open source, now with enterprise, you're going to have dedicated support, and then service levels agreements, enhanced security, deployment options for on-premise, the private cloud solution, and access to advanced analytics. And then also, I'm going to show you where we can do a hybrid approach also. So you can do enterprise and open source. And so who's it for? Well, basically, it's going to be for organizations that have a lot of money, so that they can spend their money. And then also, they have stringent compliance, and they need a 24/7 support. And then you have the CrewAI open source. It's for people like us. So we want something completely free, community-driven model, and then it has a flexible code base. And so how many coders are there in here today? All right. So you'll have an appreciation for the Python version. And then I'm going to talk about the enterprise version where you can mix both of them together. And so this is for small teams. So you have startups who want to have customization over their agents, and it's for developers. And so after this presentation, you'll know which one you want to choose. Skip that. So CrewAI framework, the overview. So it starts with Crew, from the name CrewAI. And so the Crew is going to be the top level organization. And so when you have your Crew, it manages the AI agent teams. It oversees the workflows. It delivers the outcomes. Then you have the actual agents, where your agents are going to be the specialized team members. So they have different roles. You may have a research writer. You may have a different agent that does this, and they have designated tools, and they delegate tasks, and they make autonomous decisions. And then next you have the process. So you have a workflow that you actually go through. It defines collaboration, patterns, controls, task assignments, and ensures efficient execution. And then they all have their individual tasks, their own assignments, clear, precise instructions on what they are assigned to do. And so the key features are going to be, you have role-based agents where they have their own roles. They're each going to have their own tools. They collaborate together, and you have tasks which they have to carry out. And so for the tools, it empowers the agents with capabilities ranging from, you can web search, you can do data analytics, you have collaboration, delegating tasks among the different coworkers. And so the question is, what is a tool? A tool is a skill or function for the agents. So when we work, at a job, we have to have different tools in order to carry the job out. The same way agents have to have tools to work with. And so they come with their own basic toolkit. You have the CrewAI toolkit, And they come with a lot of tools already prepackaged. And then you have lane chain. We could tap into the lane chain tools because they have a lot of tools that we can utilize. And so the characteristics of the tools, they're crafted for tasks such as web searching, data analysis, content generation, and agent collaboration. Then you get the integration, where you can integrate the tools together, where the agents can work together. You can customize the tools. You have error handling. So for example, when you have an agent that runs, and instead of the bots just crashing and not working anymore, they can self-heal, where they can figure out what errors they had and to end the process gracefully. And so here I'm talking about the different tools. So here are all of the web tools that we have, and here's a list of them. We have file tools, we have database tools, developer tools, image generation. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Dolly with OpenAI. You have your video tools, and then you have your just a general tools that we have. Also, we can tap into lane chain. A lane chain have a lot of tools that we can use, and here's like an example code of how you can utilize the lane chain. And then here's one that's called Google Serper. So Google Serper is when you can actually like search the web autonomously. So you don't have to go in and ask a question, it does it on its own. So you're going to see a demo of when I do different web searches. And then another tool is the Llama Index. So Llama Index is going to be for when you have your database searches. And so common use cases are going to be like question answering, chatbots, document understanding and execution, and so on. And then if you don't have a tool that's out the box, you can create your own tool. And I'm going to go over an example of how we can create our own tools. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is the flows. So with CrewAI flows, you can streamline the AI workflow to create and connect the tasks together. So managing state, enabling event-driven, multi-step processes for advanced automation. And so one of the flows I'm going to talk about is the simplified workflow creation. So we can have the different crews working together. So you have one crew that does its job, and after this crew finish, it passes the information on to the next crew where it can complete its task. So enough for the slides. And then now we're going to go to the actual demos. All right. So on the first demo, when you have Python, everything starts with the main program. And so we import all of the libraries. And so this one is going to be a topic, a news topic. And so we're going to give it just a subject. And so when I first moved here to Florida, I heard this thing about like Florida man. Like Florida man is always doing these crazy things around here in Florida. So I said, well, let me kind of do a search for like Florida man to see what's going on. And when I first ran it, I did it for, I think last year for 2024. I said, man, there's some interesting stories going on with like Florida man. I even found out there's like a series on HBO about Florida man. So I haven't watched it yet. So then I did it for, you're going to see, for 2025. That's only like a few days in 2025. Can't be no Florida man stories, but yeah. We're going to find out. And so we can pick whatever topic we want. And so then we go to the crew. So in the crew, I have it where we're going to, one agent is going to use the OpenAI key. And so we're going to use their LLMs. The other crew is going to use the Ollama, which is hosted on this machine. And so I want to show you how we're not just stuck just to one LLM. You can have a crew, an agent that works on this LLM and one that works on a different one. And so when you look here, you have your class, and then you define your agents. And so one agent is responsible to retrieve the news. So once they get the news, the next agent is the website scraper. And then the next one is going to be the AI news writer that's going to write the story for me. And then after it writes a story, it's going to write it to a file and save it. And so here in the config file, we have the agent. So the first agent retrieves the news. This agent role is the news retriever, and their goal, uncover the latest developments in the topic which I choose, which is going to be Florida man. So the backstory, and you say it, like you're a seasoned researcher with a knack for uncovering the latest developments in said topic, known for your ability to find the most relevant information and present it in a clear and concise manner. So that's this agent's job. Then you get the website scraper. His job is to scrape the website for the latest news and information about the topic. You're a skilled web scraper with a knack for extracting valuable information from the website, known for your attention to detail and ability to navigate complex websites to find the most relevant content. And then you have the AI news writer. And so they have their goal, and then they have a backstory. And then you have the file writer, they have their goal and also their backstory. Now, when you have the agents, they also have tasks. So on the first one is the retrieve news task. And so the description is conduct a thorough research about the topic, make sure that you find interesting and relevant information given the current year is 2025. And so I tell this agent, for your task, this is what I want. I want a list of 10 websites with the most relevant information about the topic. And so this is assigned to the agent, which is retrieve news. And so you go here, this is the retrieve news agent. So I tell the agent, this is your task. Then you have the website scrape task. I give it a description and I tell it, this is my expected output of what I want. The next task is the AI news write task. Now I tell it that I want to summarize the information, and then I give it the expected output. And then on the task, on the file write task, it also has the description I give it, and also the expected output. And then also the tools that I'm using the Serpent Dev tool, which is a website scraper tool. Then you have another scrape website tool, and then you have the file writer tool. So these are tools that are out the box that I did not have to create. And then I called my environment variables, which basically you just save your environment variables here, but I have mine saved in my my bash file. Now for the fun part, now we're going to run it. And also I want you to see the output. Well, stop that going when it runs. So I have the output set to verbose. And then we can also do a session replay, which we're going to get into. So the first agent, make it bigger. I don't know if y'all can see it or not. Which is the Florida man news retriever. So we got the agent, we got the task. And then the next agent, the same agent, and he's giving you his thought. Also the useful tool, the tool input, and the tool output. So it's telling you what it came back with on the results. And it's coming back and saying, like, this is my final answer. And the next agent is a news website scraper. So all of the sites we came back with, now it's scraping all the websites to get all the information. So it's scraping each link that we found. And it's still running. And so then we can see, it might show up here at the top. We can do a replay. And this is like through Agent Ops. So I had to connect to the Agent Ops AI. And so we could do a drill down to see exactly what is going on with our agents, how they're performing, which agents are taking a long time to run. And so if you look here, you go down some. The purple is going to be the LLM. The gold is going to be the actual tool. So if you look at the first one, the LLM, it tells you it's using the Ollama, the Quinn 2 model, which is, it ran on my laptop. That's the first agent. Then the purple one is the tool. So it talks about go. It gives you the duration, how long it took. And like this one took a while. And so I'm still using the Ollama. And then the next one, it tells me it used the GPT model. Now, when you use the GPT OpenAI models with the API, it costs. So it tells me how much it costs me in order to run it. It gives information about the tokens, the prompt, and the completion. And then it also talks about what it said. It says you are a news website scraper, and it comes back with the thought and the output from what it came back with. Now it should have completed by now. Let's see if it's still going. Okay, so it finished. So it took 1 minute and 45 seconds for it to run. It cost me 17 cents to run it. It ran 14 different LLM calls. It used 10 tools, the actions. And then if I had errors, it would give me the errors. And then, so if I want to see the output of it, I didn't notice here. I didn't know that was a Florida man's game over in, which I think I might check out. So it gives you the stories about what it came back with for 2025. And so if you can read, there's some like very interesting topics about Florida man that it came back with. And so actual a human, it would take a while just to research all of these topics. And so it came back with very interesting topics. And I think I spent more time just reading these stories than actually doing the development. They were so interesting. So that's that. Then I have another demo. Now, from my very first presentation here, it was on creating, it was algorithmic trading. And it seems that it doesn't matter what our backgrounds are, we all have one common interest, and it's money. So I created a financial advisor bot. And so I wanted this financial advisor, I wanted to find me the top stocks, the top bonds, and the top index funds for me to invest in. So first of all, I'm saying I'm not a financial advisor. Don't take my advice. Don't take advice from the bot. So if you lose your money, I don't know you. But if you make some money, don't forget about me. Right. And so this one's going to take a while to run. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. And so here you can see the output. Let's see if we pick it up. So it's going through all of they actually, to be honest with you, this is actually like very accurate and what it has picked. Like I might take his advice.
So what's the criteria
The criteria for,
to find the stocks? What's
Oh.
the criteria it's using?
yeah, I can show you. But they're gonna take a minute to run anyway.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start, let's say we start with the crew. Well, it's better to go with the different agents. So here's the criteria. So you have like the stock market analyst. And its goal is to provide comprehensive analysis on each top performing stock, including historical performance over 10 years, key financial metrics. So the price to earnings ratio, the beta, the debt and equity, et cetera, recent news, future outlook, include risk considerations. So like market volatility, regulatory changes. And I had to add this myself. I said, do not include or repeat any existing content because it was kind of repeating stuff. So I had to tell it, like, don't repeat for me. And so the backstory. So you say like, I'm a seasoned stock analyst with a sharp eye for opportunities. So you give it a backstory. I think if I would play around with it and say like, I know absolutely nothing about stocks, and I think it would pick some bad stocks for me. And then you have the bond research agent. So this agent is going to get all of the bonds for me. And so here you can see the goal that it has. You can see the backstory about the agent. So I'm an experienced bond specialist who evaluates fixed income securities to match the declines. And then next you have the index fund agent. And so they have their goals to their goal. You can read this. It talks about the portfolio diversification. And in order to like know what to put here, you kind of have to know something about stock investing, which I kind of do. And then you have a backstory about the index fund advisor, about his backstory. So these are the agents. Now they have tasks. So the first agent, I assign a task attached to this agent, and I give it a description of what I wanted to do. And I tell it like, this is what my expected output is. And in the regular coding, we would have to actually code this stuff out to say like what we want the output to be. But with LLMs, I can just tell it what I want and it does it for me, which is cool. And then you have your bond research task, which is going to be assigned to the bond research agent. So I give a description here, then I tell it what I want is expected output to be. And then the next one, you have the index fund analysis test, which I tell it to find information about the different index funds. And I tell it this is what I want my expected answer to be. And it is still running. So we're going to give it.
Does your model by chance take into account like geopolitical issues, right?
I mean, it can.
So like, like TSMC, I think is like a solid stock, but there's like, discussions on like tensions between like the US and China.
Right.
And, some of their stuff, even though they're building some of the stuff here, I think a lot of their capacity is like in Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be interesting as well.
Yeah. So all I would have to do is just tell it here, like take into account the geopolitical issues and say like, and give it the example about what's going on over in Taiwan. And then it would take that into consideration.
Are these prompts fixed, or can we put it as a variable?
Yeah.
You can use an LLM to create these prompts when you're defining the YAML file? Or are we giving explicitly those roles and those descriptions and all the prompts that I see on the screen?
So like we say when the LLM can
Self-prompt.
like self-prompt, where it's automated.
Yeah, automated prompting, based on tasks.
Yeah, you could do that.
So are you essentially asking like, okay, let's say you don't know the market. And you say, how do I make money? Right? Are you
Yeah, that's-
basically saying, can you actually can you have the AI go and generate all the necessary parameters that will
Yeah, that's
generate
right.
all the money?
That's
Yeah.
the question. I mean, I see a YAML file that you define,
Uh-huh.
but can the.
Can you have the
base
AI
LLM
generate the
create
YAML file that includes all the parameters that will actually make you rich?
Well, I'm gonna tell you a secret. I'm gonna tell you a secret. I actually use AI to create it for me. So I did. I'm trying to answer your question. So yeah, I mean, so I went into like, I went into ChatGPT. I told her, I said, look, man, just make me props for me and stuff. Because even though I know like about stock investing, it can do a whole lot better than what I can do. But I thought you were talking about using it, which I think you can actually use LLMs.
Fine tune the prompt,
Yeah.
whatever prompt we wrote, we can fine tune using another LLM, like Google Gemini does already, you can
Right.
just ask something and then there's a button called fine tune the prompt.
Hmm.
Then when you click on it, it gives a better prompt
Yeah.
that it works on.
Yeah. So with CrewAI, they have like a training feature where you can actually train it to give you better results.
And one of the follow-up questions, can we fix the structure of or lexical structure of the LLM run? Like for example, in healthcare, we have hierarchical structures in how we diagnose a disease.
Right.
So there is, if you go ask LLM,
Mhm.
it will not do a better job because there's hierarchical structures in it.
Right.
So can we fix those hierarchical structures in the agent? Is there an option for like that?
Yeah. So when you go to the crew at the very bottom, so you have the processes of sequential. You can change this to process is hierarchical. And you can do it that way. You have the structure. Okay.
I have two questions. I was actually going to ask this question second, but I'm asking it first now. So I believe you work for a sensitive government agency,
Right.
proprietary data, presumably a lot of things that you don't want in the public domain. So let's take the example of this hierarchical taxonomy that might exist. What level of concern do you have that the LLMs are going to absorb things that you might not want to have shared more broadly as a result of your training the LLM on something that's, we'll call it proprietary. It doesn't have to be sensitive from a security standpoint.
Right.
Let's just say, I'm a businessman that works in this space, and I am hyper concerned about how much data and how much logic we want to put out into the LLMs
Mhm.
that other people can take advantage of. And I wanted to ask, do you have that concern working for an organization that might be security conscious?
Yeah. So I'll tell you. What's the other one?
Privacy preserving machine learning and what the concern is that.
Yeah, absolutely. So is an example, if it's HIPAA,
Mhm.
and people are concerned about things that might relate to healthcare as an example, or people's personal records.
Okay. So yeah, the answer to that, in the previous one, I ran the LLM, it was local. And so I ran it. Do I have a prompt here? So here, if I do a llama list, these are all the different models that I have locally on this laptop. So if they want your information to go out, let's say if you don't want it to go out to OpenAI,
Yeah.
you can host your models locally, but you have to have strong enough GPUs in order to execute them. But even like, let's say we're on a top secret environment, we're going to be closed off to the internet anyway. And so we have to be able to host these models locally and train it. Everything is done in-house.
Yeah, when you say locally, like on-prem in your own.
Yeah. So there are a couple ways. So my opinion, the best way is to be on-prem. I want to have my own, let's say DGX box.
Yeah.
And training on that, where you may have like 8100 GPUs. Then there's another option where you have like AWS or Azure. They have their own clouds, which is only for like the secret and maybe like TS networks. And so that way you can train it on their secure cloud infrastructure and run it. where you don't have to worry about your sensitive information getting out.
So I'm gonna ask my second, which is a related question to what you just said.
Okay,
So we have been benching the various clouds against the LLMs against each other.
Mhm.
And by the time my guys finish writing a memo and say, this is the answer, by the time I finished reading the memo, there is another memo that says, wait a second. The rate of innovation happening in AI is so fast, it's faster than my ability to be able to read the memos that they're writing on the benching that's going on.
Mhm.
And just sort of given up on okay, there's a definitive answer. In your work, presumably you've used different LLMs.
Yeah.
And have you run the same things that we're talking about here? Have you tried running them on the different ones to see what works better, which is more cost effective, which is easier to run, et cetera?
Yes.
And has that changed over time, or are you stable and happy with where you are?
I'll say right now I'm stable. You found like a good model. It's fairly accurate, and so the best model out there now is going to be your OpenAI models, but you have open source models that are even as good as OpenAI. Even China just created a model that's good as OpenAI, and it's open source and it's free.
I'm hoping that CENTCOM isn't relying on the Chinese for.
No, no, not at all. And so I say the best models are going to be the ones that have more parameters. So let's say you can get by with like 7 billion. I mean, 13 billion. Preferably, you want like 400 billion parameter model. You can get by. Even Meta came out with one that's like a 70 billion, the Llama 3.3, which is comparable to the Llama 3.1, 405 billion parameter model. And a lot of times it depends on the users. You have some users that use this and say, man, I don't like these results and stuff and all that, then it's not a good model. But then they come back with satisfactory results.
Yeah.
Then you found a good model. But then you have to look at performance versus the results versus speed and performance. So you kind of have to play around with it because you don't want it to take a long time to give you your results back. So that's when you look at the hardware. So you may want to run it on-prem on your own local hardware compared to in the cloud.
I've also seen reports of same model, different hardware, faster hardware, better, more precise results.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, yeah.
That's true.
I have a question for the two of you. So I know like NVIDIA is kind of like the go-to, right? But some of what they do is very closed source, whereas like AMD is like more open source friendly, but perhaps like generally speaking, not as powerful as NVIDIA. Have there been any studies done in the academic world in terms of like which is like better if you're going to go the open source route?
As far as the models, or are you talking about like on the hardware?
On the hardware.
Well, right now the way to go is NVIDIA. I mean, you have like I'm running this on my MacBook, so I can run a 70 billion parameter.
Wait, also, are you talking about training or inference?
Training.
Yeah.
But so if I'm doing like on-prem.
Yeah, I mean like
stuff.
training right now the way to go is NVIDIA, but you have the other semis. They actually are catching up. I don't think
Also,
NVIDIA
are
is
you
gonna
gonna stay within the frameworks? Are you gonna stay within like, say, PyTorch or against like, cause,
I like CUDA.
yeah.
I want the flexibility to do what I want. So I don't want to be locked in. I don't want to be locked in by a vendor. So if I determine that this vendor or whatever doesn't work for me for the project that I'm working on, because I've identified something else, I
Right.
want to be able to switch.
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard on your hardware. Like software is easy to like change vendors, but when you have like the hardware, like the NVIDIA, you're pretty much locked in unless there's some other.
There are
Yeah,
some
it's
wrappers you can
different.
write for PyTorch, like Intel has Gaudi 3.
Mhm.
They when you have the framework, they write the base layer.
Right.
And then right now in NVIDIA, CUDA, there is a base layer. So when you port, you have to make sure that the precision that you're training on, like FP4 or FP8 or like a floating point, you have to make sure that it is going, and also you have to have evaluation metrics to quantify or, train. So basically you can, but you need to do some research, of how do you wrap the PyTorch with the base platform like CUDA or for the Intel Go 3 platform.
There is a library out there right now called ZLUDA, which is CUDA for non-NVIDIA GPUs.
That's been
It's still-
deprecated.
What?
Last I heard that was deprecated.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Never mind.
AMD unfortunately stopped supporting
I think they just started again. That was a
it. So they did another project.
someone, picked it up.
Yeah, it's the same guys, but different project now.
I have a comment and not a question, and that is, for those of you who have any, if you work with anybody that might have sensitivity to cost, this stuff is not free. There are very few of these tools that are really free. It's really important that you understand exactly when you're going to run these things, you are keeping track of what the cost is, because it is not difficult at all to wind up with some whopper bills and have people really unhappy. In case of our company, both my companies, we have switched our pricing model dramatically so that our customer pays all of the cloud costs. But what they want to know during the course of the month all the time is how much have we spent, how much have been spent on their account, and what's the prediction on, based on the consumption to date, what does the rest of your month look like? And people are becoming much more sensitive to the cost of the cloud.
Yeah, there are new rules in companies now to just do, configure cost.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And so here are the results of our financial analysts. So it gives an executive summary. And so this report provides an overview, the top performing stocks of 2024, and it gives you overrun of the bonds, the yields, indexes. And so its top stocks it picked was AppLovin, MicroStrategy, Palantir, Vistra, it likes Robinhood, and talks about the different risks. And so then it tells you that you want to switch between like the equities, bonds, and index. And so I'm still working on this because it's not giving me, like because sometimes it'll show me the stocks, and then sometimes it'll show me indexes, and sometimes it'll show the bonds. So it's not reliable in giving me exactly what I want every time. So this is still like research, but they can show you here, it did pick the stocks. And it tells you how you should split your equities, like equities, bonds, and index, and then gives you a conclusion on here. Sure.
How do we exclude false positives? So if I want to drive this results towards a certain stock, and if I put 50 different websites out there which says that buy Apple or buy Microsoft. So if while crawling a web, it might pick up all those 50 and might come back with a recommendation. It might be false. Is there any way we can not get targeted?
Yeah, that's true. I guess you would have to work with the agent to make sure it takes care of.
Yeah, okay.
Temperature, you can adjust the temperature, from 0 to 2 or.
Okay.
And then if you, as you lower the K value, you get the generated text will be closer to what it saw before in the internet. So that way you can, but you might not achieve what you want. And I think that's one of my follow-up questions, if we have a evaluation metric, then we can confine the learning to that evaluation metric. But in this case, we don't have an evaluation metric.
Yeah, just know the source. And that's quite often, right? Even if we search something, nowadays, if I search something on, let's say, Instagram or anywhere, I get targeted results. So, which might not be true.
Yeah.
Right? People keep driving me over there.
In this case, it is temperature, LLMs, but when you are talking about marketing targets, again, that you already have a target variable of Y to refer.
I'm talking about reverse, where there where, and Instagram, I am the subject because I have searched something and they are sending me feeds. Over here, it's different, I'm going out and this model is pulling things for me.
Okay.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Currently, the way we eliminate is like we check the reliability of the source. Like, from which website or from which, whether it is a verified user or a verified website or something. And I just wanted to check, if we can put that kind of validation while working with agents. That,
The classical way that you would solve that problem is if you run a sample
Okay,
and you train your model and you have your results, and then you have a holdout sample. And you're gonna run, so the problem is you're mining the data historically, but you're gonna take it and then run it against, let's say, 90 days where the model wasn't trained. And see how close were you to getting, but to put live money against something that you haven't back tested.
Yeah,
okay,
that's true.
can check that, yeah.
Okay.
One question I do have is two questions actually. There's AutoGen, there's CrewAI, there's Swarm. Have you experimented with other agent frameworks? And if so, what has been your experience? And then in a business setting, because AI agents is the new thing and it's hard to sell when it comes to your enterprise. So what are some like practical quick wins that you can recommend that management or who else can say, yeah, that's a good idea to use in our group, in our department, stuff like that?
Like to use like CrewAI over a different agent framework?
Well, my first question is, have you compared CrewAI to other agent frameworks? And what are some quick wins with CrewAI that you think could be possible in enterprise?
I'll say a quick win is for like efficiency. So when you can have an actual employee to be more productive from, let's say from your point of view, it will help you to be more productive. For the company, they can make more money. Now, on the downside, it can also replace us too. So, and you may not need certain roles. So it's a quick win is to show the company how it can be more efficient. So you have to show by example. So you can put together a quick demo to show them. Probably won't take no longer than
Is there a
about.
demo that you recommend to show, like, would that be customer service based or
Well-
call based, or what would you recommend?
Well, it depends on your industry. So what industry you're in?
Biotech.
Biotech. So, I mean, one is how you can discover new medicines.
Correct.
Yeah. And so you get deep in that. It would actually do all of the research and do all of the conducting to see what works and what doesn't work. Yeah, there's a lot you can do in biotech.
The way it got proven to me, I'm the CEO, and the way it was proven to me was we benchmarked how long it took to create a data pipeline. So just data engineering. So you got a data source over here. We're trying to get it to the data warehouse over here. There's going to be transformation that sits in the middle. And we took a manual Python-based approach. We did an agent and everything was documented. And that one, basically, nobody had to show me anything else.
And was there a certain model you use to take that out, or a certain model you use within the agent? Like, was it like a GPT model?
We used a lot of different, they knew that I was gonna ask them, so they tried a lot of different things. But the big thing is sort of, you got a sort of time and motion study, think of it like a manufacturer. You're gonna figure out every single minute, how long does it take to do these things? What did it cost? But it is not a natural thing for people to take themselves out of a given job.
Yeah.
And so the first people to resist that were the data engineers working in Python, saying, well, what am I gonna do?
No, that's true. Okay, especially like, because one thought I had was like running simulations for drug discovery,
Mhm.
like you said. But again, that same thought of like, there's biostatisticians or bioinformatic individuals who do those simulations themselves, and they're like, what do I do next?
We wiped out a whole group of business intelligence analysts, so we don't need anymore.
So you can throw like a JDI kind of thing.
Yeah.
Our Angular engineers are gone. There's no place for them left in our company. There's literally whole classes of engineering talent that we need.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, you can actually, any kind of task that you have that's repetitive, you can create an agent for that. But then your manager will say, okay, I don't need you anymore.
Some of your requirement, if you have a simulator, I think reinforcement learning will do some of the discovery. But I'm still not yet. I'll do some more research on what the agent produces. Is it can be evaluated, like in a company, like for example, the insurance company, if you are doing claim denials or pre-op. What is the ground to gold standard? So if we have the gold standard, then it's going to that evaluation pipeline. I think we have to do. That's
Yeah, also like you're speaking healthcare, right? A lot of the outputs can be non-deterministic,
that's
and that's a huge problem.
That's a huge problem.
That's a huge problem.
And I think that's where my question of hierarchical, thesaurus, lexicals will help to define some ground truth.
Yeah.
In decisions.
Okay, now for the last demo. This is like a two-part. So you have two crews. You have a crew that actually, the main part, it generates a transcript from audio. And so here you have an earnings call. And we're using the OpenAI Whisper model. And to show you what this sounds like, I might play through here.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to FinTech Plus Sync's second quarter 2023 earnings call.
So this entire earnings call is going to make a transcript. Once it creates the transcript, it's better to go to the tools. So hold on one second. So we have two crews. The first one is going to be the meeting minutes crew, which is going to create a transcript. It's going to summarize the transcript, and it's going to find the key points within this earnings call. And then the second crew is going to send an email to whoever is in the email list after it creates the summarization. So if we go to the meeting minutes crew, you have the agents. The first agent, his goal is to summarize the meeting. And so it tells you the goal of what I want. Summarize the meeting transcript into a thorough and detailed summary and write it to a file. Extract the action items from the meeting and transcript and write it to a file. As an AI with expertise in language and emotion analysis, your task is to analyze the sentiment of the following text, because we're also going to do sentiment analysis. Please consider the overall tone of the discussion, the emotion conveyed by the language used, and the context in which the words and phrases are used. Indicate whether the sentiment is generally positive, negative, or neutral, and provide brief explanations of your analysis where possible, and write it to a file. Didn't have to code anything, just told it what to do. And so it gives a backstory of the AI agent. And then we have the meeting minutes writer. And so we tell it, write the meeting minutes based on summary, action items, and sentiment. And so here are the instructions on writing the minutes for the, and then next we have the task. So in the task, I told it to summarize the meeting transcript through a detailed summary. And then I said, write it to a file called the summary.markdown and the earnings call meeting minutes. And so, matter of fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete this directory because it's going to actually create an earnings call meetings minute directory for me. So I don't even have to code. I told it what to do. And then I told it that I would like to return the action items from the meeting transcript in this following format. And then next I tell it, this is what I want my expected output to be. And so meeting minutes crew. And so this is what the code looks like. And it's using built into, so we have the file writer tool here. And then if you go to the main part, I had to write code because the problem is when you have a transcript, because a transcript is like 3 minutes, and when you send it to the whisper model, it kind of craps out for anything over like a certain amount of time. So what I had to do, we had talked about this in the last meeting where we can like chunk it. So I basically just chopped the audio up into 3 parts and then send it to the whisper model to transcribe it for me. And then, so this is for the agent, the meeting minutes. Then we have another agent, which is called the Gmail crew. It sounds like a game, don't it? It's a Gmail crew. So we have the agent and we have the task. Now, what I had to do here, I had to create some custom tools here. And so the tools that I created here is going to send it to, I had to create like a service account through my Gmail, because my Gmail is going to send the transcript to whoever is in the in the list. So does anybody here want a copy of the transcript to give the email address? All right, if not, okay, you'll see the demo. And then we have the utility. I had to create code for the HTML to format the email. And so that's the gist of it. So now I'm going to run it because it takes a minute for this to run. There's a lot that goes with it. So I run it here. And then you can see the output, make it larger. And so what it's doing now is transcribing, it's chunking the transcript into 3 parts right now. And while it's running, I can actually watch it here. But nowhere it hasn't started yet. It's still chunking.
The tree, what,
You have a what?
the MacBook that you're using.
You know,
What model? Is it
what
model 3
model?
or 4?
Oh, this is the M2 MacBook Max Pro Max. So I can give you the actual stats on it. Yeah, so right here, I got 12 cores, I got 96 gigs of RAM. So they know it has the unified RAM. And so that's why I can run like a 70 billion parameter model on here.
So are you running the model on your MacBook now?
No, right now, the model, I'm running everything is going to OpenAI. And the way you can tell is, but really, it's going to go to OpenAI out the box. So all I have to do, I have to set 2 environment variables. And here, you tell it which model you want it to run. So I tell it I wanted to use the GPT-4 model. And then if I was actually using this environment variable file, then I would have like my OpenAI key. And I'll put the key here. And then this SERP API key, this is what it actually like, it's like a Google, it searches the web for you. It's like a Google search tool. And then I could put the key here. But I have all of my environment variables there in my Z shell. So this is like a more secure way because I don't want to share my environment variables. I might make a mistake. And then let's say I commit it to GitHub. So I put all my secrets on the GitHub for someone to get a hold of, then I got like $1,000 bill to AI. So I just keeping everything locked in here. So it's the AI news. It still should be running.
We're gonna have to bring it to a conclusion here.
All right. So yeah, as it's all concluding, we just can watch it just run.
Anything else like parting else, your takeaways from going through this whole exercise and getting comfortable with these agents? Anything we should watch out for
Yep.
or any?
One last thing. So for those of all who doesn't want to code at all, you can do it. You can press the easy button. And so you can just go here and you can create your own agents through here. So here you have templates right here that you can like, let's say like you had asked example about some demos or whatever. So you can go here and get a template and then you can download it and then change the code up how you want. And then here you can deploy it directly on the CrewAI on their servers. And so here you can either download it, and then when you download the code, this is the same exact format that you saw. So you can do it like a few ways. And then like, for example, when in Crew Studio, let's say I wanted to create one. And then I said like, I want the top beaches search list compilation. So I said like, create me an agent that's gonna find the top beaches in Florida. And so I told her what to do. It created the agents for me. It created the tags for me. And if it's something I didn't like, I would say, I don't like this task, change this up. And then so you can create agents on the fly and then run it within Crew Enterprise. So that's it.
Well, thanks.